Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet podcast. I am your host and resident panelist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_daddy. Well, I'm so pleased that you decided to join me on this Victory Monday. I don't know if you knew this or not. The Packers actually won the game. If you missed the game and were floating around on social media, you would probably think that we lost the game. We didn't. We won the game. And honestly, it wasn't close. It was a double-digit win. The Bengals never had a lead at any point and kind of just fluctuated between one score and two-score leads throughout the entire game. I for that reason, have to admit, and maybe I should be ashamed of this, I am, in fact, happy that we won. So, I don't know if that makes me weird, if that makes me a bad person. I'm not sure what that makes me, but I am, in fact, happy that we won. I do think, and I know this is also a controversial thing, I think that more than one thing, whether that's two or three or however many, can be true at the same time. It's a weird belief that I have. I know it's not for everybody. And I know there's people of all different stripes, all different value systems and opinions and all that. And I don't like to be controversial, but I do tend to be somebody who believes that multiple things can be true at the same time. For example, I think the Packers won. Right? Kind of again, a little controversial. I get that, but I think that they won. Even more controversial, I think that's a good thing. I know. Just bear with me, okay? Just acknowledge that I accept you for who you are and all your beliefs. I also believe that, unfortunately, as much as this is painful and disgusting and awful and unacceptable, the Packers have not yet fixed all of their problems. They still have problems. They still have things that they need to fix. And again, I tend to believe that, along with the fact that they won and that it's a good thing that they won, are all true. All three of those statements are true. In fact, I'll even add another one that can be true in that mix. And that is that the Packers right now are not good enough. They're not good enough to go on a playoff run. They're not good enough, I don't even think, to necessarily beat the Cardinals. I don't know. I mean, they might be. We can get into that whole thing. I know, the Bengals are supposed to be a really, really easy team to beat. They didn't certainly play like that, and from my perspective, but we have to assume that what they are is exactly what they are, and if they play well, that actually they didn't play well. It's just that you played poorly. It's impossible for them to play well because the analytics said that you're bad. Which, again, I know lots of different belief systems out there. I tend to believe that sometimes bad teams play better. Sometimes good teams play bad. These things do occur. Again, all different stripes, all different opinions. It's fine. But, no, I don't know that they're necessarily, based on how they played today, good enough to win against the Cardinals, much less the Lions. Or, let's be honest, there's not a huge list of teams out there that I don't think that they can beat because there's not a lot of teams that are proving a ton right now. I'm watching the Lions to see if they can go to 5-1 as opposed to 4-2 against the 2-3 Chiefs. However, what they were, which I don't think is super debatable, but maybe, is good enough to beat the Bengals, which fortunately for us was our opponent this week, and really their only job. Their job this week was not to win the Super Bowl. Their job this week was not to win a playoff game. It was not to win the division. It was not to beat the Lions. It was not to beat the Buffalo Bills or even teams like the Steelers or Cardinals. This week, their job was to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. And again, as confrontational as this may come across, or as controversial as it may be to some people, I tend to think they did their job. They did their job, which was to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, again, some people will point out and say, well, wait a minute, we were supposed to win by 14.5 points, and we only won by 9. And granted, 9 is a big number, and it's double digits, and it's still the freaking NFL. It's not college football, so even bad teams tend to be pretty freaking good. What do you have to say about that, smart guy? Well, I would refer you back to what I've already said, which is that this performance tells us that they didn't fix all their problems, that they still have problems, that they are not a team that on that day, as in on this past Sunday, would have won a playoff game, probably wouldn't have won a Super Bowl game, probably maybe not even good enough to beat the Cardinals next week. Okay? But again, that's not the week that we're in. So it's it's just sort of a little update. Like, hey, you know how, and you got to understand that part of the 14.5 had to do with the fact that the Green Bay Packers were at home. And so when you look at the totality of how good they had been at home, right? It's the other side of it. If we had just looked at this and said, well, what if we assume they're as bad as they were against Dallas and Cleveland? We would not have been 14.5 point favorites. In fact, I think we would have overachieved, which means we did improve, but we didn't look at it that way. That's not where the numbers came from. So no, I don't think that they got to the level that we ultimately should be satisfied with in terms of like, for the rest of the year, this is all I ever want to see is this much talent. No, I don't think that that's correct. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I want. But were they good enough to win this week? Sure. But here's the thing. So, well, so who cares about that? Okay, next week is next week's problem. Next week, by the way, they don't need to be an elite team. They need to be good enough to beat the Cardinals. They need to become an elite team when we get up against elite teams, especially in the postseason. Because then, when you lose, your season is done. And so you need to not lose. That's a long time from now. But let me look at this from the flip side. Would it freaking matter if we dominated Cincinnati? Would it really have mattered? Because I wouldn't be able to sit here and say, well, now we've learned they did fix all their problems. And now they are great. And now everything is perfect. And we are going to win the Super Bowl. And we are going to go to the playoffs and win in the playoffs. And everything's just great. Why can't I say that? Because I can't promise you that against Arizona, it won't be different. And they don't lose the game and everything falls apart. Why? Because next week is different than this week. And the week after that will be different than that week. And so I'm sorry that this game wasn't a game that put a team on the field that would be as good as the Lions. And I'm sorry that that makes you feel, for some reason, like this is locked in and this is all we're ever going to see. It's all they're ever going to be. That Matt LaFleur is no good and nobody's any good. And Jordan made a mistake, so he's a bum. And our defense is terrible and will always be terrible and nothing's good. I'm sorry that that's where you're at right now. It's irrational and silly, but again, everybody's allowed to kind of deal with life however they feel. But do you understand how what I'm saying about that? Do you understand how ridiculous that is? Touchdown Chiefs. Let's frickin' go. Let's frickin' go, baby. You understand that it's a little bit unfair to hold the Packers to a standard of you need to demonstrate to me every week that you are a playoff caliber team. But I'm not even going to give you credit for it because as soon as you do it, you know what I'm going to say? Do you know what I, the negative fan, I'm going to say? When we go up against Arizona, I'm going to say, yeah, watch him blow it now. Watch everything get terrible. So now all of a sudden everything's going to change. Now nothing ever stays the same and everything's going to be everything's going to change and it's going to be different and it's going to be worse and everything's going to be awful. Oh, watch, they're going to be good now against the Cardinals, but when come playoff time, I bet they don't show up. So what does it matter? What does it matter if they live up to your expectations against the Cincinnati Bengals? What does that change? Would that make it any better come week 19 in the playoffs? Would that change anything in week 19? I don't think so. I don't think so. We know what a couple of the problems are, and they need to get fixed. There's not, honestly, that many problems as best as I can tell. The offensive line needs to improve across the board, And we need to figure out, it's not even just a coverage thing, because there's some things in coverage that I actually quite like. We have to figure out this quick pass thing. It's very obvious to me that for 3 weeks now, there has been a game plan out there for how to beat this defense. Cleveland, even though they didn't really score very much, they started to do it. Dallas decided it was going to be their entire game plan, and we saw what that looked like. And Cincinnati, with Flacco, who obviously knows how to do this because he was in Cleveland, employed that exact same strategy. And it still isn't fixed. Okay? That doesn't mean by next week it won't be, or in 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, or 7 weeks that it won't be. It just means that this week it wasn't. And I am so very sorry that we won by only 9 points instead of 14.5, and that has ruined your freaking life. I am so sorry that it is such an utter disappointment that a 2-score win against an NFL team isn't good enough for you. I'm very sorry. Because again, I will concede everything. This is not up to the standard that we had hoped for. But at the end of the day, it doesn't freaking matter. Because again, what happens if they did it? What does that mean? It means that this week, they lived up to playoff team status. But it doesn't mean they will ever do it ever again. And so all that means is you beat Cincinnati by a bunch. It doesn't guarantee a playoff spot. It doesn't guarantee anything. So for this 1 week, I think they played pretty well. It wasn't as good as we had hoped because week 1 and 2 completely gave us ridiculously high expectations. Even if we didn't have that, it still probably wasn't good enough. But yeah, we now have shockingly high expectations to where holding a team to 18 points is seen as disgraceful, and scoring 27 points in a game is somehow disgraceful. I don't really fully understand that, but I do understand again that the expectation was slightly higher, 9 compared to 14. I mean, that's, a couple different things go in a different direction. If Jordan doesn't throw that pick or something, there's a good chance we end up with that exact thing, even though the rest of the game doesn't actually change all that much and all the problems would still end up being the problems. But we get too wired up about nonsense. All we learned, first of all, the Packers won, which isn't a guarantee, by the way. That's not a guarantee that we win the game, which is also frustrating. It's like I said about Matt LaFleur. Everybody's quick to jump on anything that he does wrong. How many times does anybody jump on things he does right? Never. We don't pay attention to that. And so, if somebody had told you the score beforehand, I think most people would be like, oh, it's pretty good. I'm fine with that. 27-18, that's a pretty good score. I'd be okay with that. But when you watch it, and God forbid there was a moment where if things had been completely different, if, for example, our offense couldn't drive down the field and score, and then after they get a stop, they drive down the field and score, then maybe they could have possibly won the game. Wow, what a shockingly profound and devastating revelation that is. If things were very different, this would have been closer to the point where we might have lost. Gee golly, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Is your insurance going to cover the therapy bill? Oh my goodness, I am so unbelievably sorry that happened to you. Gee golly whiz. Man, if they had gotten a touchdown instead of a field goal that one time, and then if we didn't drive all the way down the field and score 7, and then they got the ball back, and then they drove down and scored again, man, they almost could have won. Wow. Great. And if the Packers had beat the Cleveland Browns, then they would have won. That's also super profound, right? Like if things were all different, then we would have won. And then same with Dallas. If we tweak a couple things in there, then we would have beat them, and then we'd be undefeated. And does anybody care about that? No, they don't care about that. People only do these weird mind games when it means the Packers suck. It's the only time we want to play these stupid mind games. It doesn't make any sense. Why are we doing this? Sacked, you loser. Yeah, fourth down, go for it, Mr. Aggressive from the 20-yard line. Go for it. You suck. You suck, and I hate you, and you suck. Oh, I hate the Lions. I don't like the Chiefs either. It's funny because it's kind of like watching a Vikings and Bears game. It's not quite to that extent, but I keep forgetting who I'm rooting for. There have been so many times when like the Chiefs will get a first down. I'm like, freaking tackle, you idiot. And I'm like, oh, wait, they're playing the Lions. That's actually a good thing. Yeah, first down. Let's go. Thank you, ref. Thanks for cheating for the Chiefs. I actually appreciate that this week. Do you get what I'm saying, though? Let me give you one more example before we go ahead and take a break here. I saw this on social media, which, by the way, I'm ready to strangle every single human being on social media. I can't freaking take this nonsense anymore. I'm tempted to just go through tweets and just lose my mind. Maybe that's a tomorrow thing. That's a nice return, huh? Past the 50. Let's go. Did he fumble? You stupid human being. I hate you. Yeah, he's down. Ref said he's down. I love him. Yeah, the refs aren't going to let you take the ball away. Are you kidding me? The refs. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, turnover against the Chiefs. What are you, stupid? They're not going to let that get turned over. Oh, all right. Anyways, of course, I didn't save the tweet, but I remember it. So let me just pull up their record here. Somebody, Packers fan, posted. Stop it. They posted this stretch of games from the Bengals. They showed their last 3 weeks. Minnesota 48-10, Denver 28-3, Detroit 37-24. And his comment was something to the effect of, "This is the team we're struggling against." And also, the Detroit game wasn't actually that close, he says, something to that effect. Oh, yeah, no, we'll excuse that, right? That's different. But this is the team we're struggling against, which I don't know that it was a massive struggle. It was a two-score win by 9 points, but whatever. Again, they never had the lead, and again, I understand that it got scary at a couple points because the possibility that we could lose popped into your head, and that scared you. It did the same to me, but that never materialized. So it was kind of our fears were the ones that were wrong there. But what's ultimately wrong with that? What's wrong with what I just said in regard to what this person posted? Minnesota 10-48, Denver 3-28, Detroit 24-37. I'll give you a hint. The Bengals have played more than 3 games this year prior to the Packers. And I know what you're thinking. Well, wait a minute. The 2 games before were wins, but Joe Burrow was the quarterback. Oh, so quarterback is the difference. So we're not going to include the first 2 games where the Bengals started the season 2-0 because they had a better quarterback, and I don't want to use that as an example because then they got this garbage quarterback that caused these 3 games. Interesting, because we never played that quarterback. So how can you use these 3 for the bad quarterback that we didn't face? How does that make sense? And don't give me this nonsense about, well, Flacco's no better. Yes, he absolutely 1,000% is. And I told you that prior to this game. This narrative out there that Flacco's just as bad is stupid. It's absolutely shockingly stupid. The quarterback the Bengals had prior to Flacco was way worse than Flacco. Shockingly bad. Why would you hold this team to the expectation that they perform as well against Flacco as they did against this other quarterback who was way worse? Why would you do that? And again, if it's not just the quarterback, it's the rest of the team, fine, then include all 5 games. Why don't you include all 5? Well, then because my narrative goes out the window. Yeah, exactly. This is not the same team. We didn't face the same quarterback. Remember, we went over the stats with Joe Burrow, and this is one of the top 10 to top 5 most efficient and best offenses in football. So yeah, changing the quarterback can actually change this drastically from one of the best to one of the worst, depending on if you have a very good or very bad quarterback. Flacco is not very good, but he's also not very bad like this guy. So you would expect what? An improvement. So the Lions won by 13, we won by 9. That's a 4-point difference. You think Flacco could possibly make that kind of a difference? Roughly. What is he, a 2-point, 3-point difference? Okay, so the Lions got over by an additional point. Oh my Lord, cry me a freaking river. This is, I mean, it's, and again, we're deliberately twisting data now to make the Packers look worse. This is what we're doing as Packer fans. This is how we spend our time. Come on now. Be better than that, please. Do me a favor and be better than that. All right, let's take a break. I want to actually go back and look at some of the stats because I haven't even looked at them yet, and I'm kind of excited about a couple of them. Basically, I just want to see Golden's stat line because that's going to make me smile a little bit, and then we'll just go through the rest and see how it goes. I also want to do game balls today because the Packers won, and it is Victory Monday. Not piss and moan and whine because we lost. Because guess what? We did that after we lost. We also did that after we tied, and then we had a bye week, which was an extension on the pissing and moaning. And we won today, and I want to celebrate that a little bit. I want to be happy that we won the game. Does that sound good? Okay, great. Let's take a break. Oakley Dokley. So, Joe Flacco, 29 of 45, 219 yards, just 4.9 yards per attempt, because again, we're doing our stupid little dink and dunk nonsense. 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 19 yards was his longest pass, 1 sack thanks to Van Ness, 90.9 passer rating when targeted. Not exactly a banger of a stat line. Jordan Love was 19 of 26 for 259 yards, 10 yards per attempt, a touchdown, a pick, 35 yards was his longest, 1 sack, 101.3 passer rating when targeted. As for running the ball, we'll look at the team stats, which will be a little bit more whatever. But Chase Brown carried once for 42 yards, 4.7 average. Samaje Perine was 6 carries for 16 yards, 2.7 average. Jamar Chase had 1 carry for -3 yards. As for the Packers, Josh Jacobs, 18 carries, 93 yards, 5.2 yards per carry. One of the things that I think is important to recognize, not everything got fixed. The major issues that I felt like we had didn't really get fixed, although the offensive line did improve as the game went on, as evidenced by the 5.2 yards per carry. Something that I think is important, in addition to acknowledging some things that are not fixed and need to get fixed if we're going to improve, if we're going to end up being a playoff team, which again doesn't have to happen today or tomorrow. But one of the things that you have to do is acknowledge some of the things that need to get fixed. It's also, I think, good to acknowledge the things that did take a step forward and the things that do look good and the things that even continue to look good, like Jordan Love, because there's no guarantee. It's absolutely possible that he could fall off a cliff, and we're sitting here saying, well, I guess that was fake. I guess, so much for that. I thought we had our guy. I thought this was it. I thought he's still playing solid. I think it's important to recognize those things. This guy looks good. That guy looks good. That looked really good. This is getting better, and that's important because we're going to need that. No, not everything got better, but some things did, and that's good, and we should celebrate and get excited about that. But again, while acknowledging some of this other stuff has to get better. Josh Jacobs, 18 carries, 93 yards, 5.2, and 2 touchdowns. That's a good day. If he could have got 7 more to crack an even 100, that would have been a little better, but I'm very happy with that. Jordan Love, dominant with his freaking legs today. Just 3.7 yards per carry. Usually quarterbacks get a bunch, but man, the stuff that he did with his legs, miraculous. 7 carries, 26 yards. Golden had 2 for 16. That was solid, 8 per carry. Wilson just 3 for 11, 3.7. Bo got 1 for 3. Savion got 1 for 3. Chris Brooks had 1 for 1. Really, the Packers distribute the ball a lot, even in the run game, apparently. That's something I'm not used to. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ball carriers. I wonder if that's ever happened before. I don't remember ever seeing 7 ball carriers before. Man, I think the Lions are about to lose here, boys. It's 27-17 here. There's 3 left. It's not over, but she's looking bleak there, boys. Receiving, Jamar Chase had a day against some, I think I talked about it, Packernet After Dark. Some of this was miraculous nonsense, which again, you can't 100%, I'm not making entirely excuses. There were things that were not good. You can't blame our secondary for a perfect pass to a guy making a miraculous catch. That's just a team playing well. And I know it's very hard to say that, because no, the Bengals are supposed to be trash, and every time he throws it, it's like, a guy with a 17 Madden grade, right? He can only throw about 2 yards, and Jamar Chase can only catch like 1 out of every 12 passes because he has a 28 catch grade or whatever. But that's not reality. In fact, Flacco's an adequate quarterback, and Jamar Chase is one of the best wide receivers in football, and it looked like it. He had 12 targets, 10 receptions, 94 yards. T. Higgins, 8 targets, 5 receptions, 62 yards. Both of them had pretty productive days. Chase added a touchdown. Other than that, the only one over 20 yards was Noah Fant, who had 4 catches for 27 yards. Tanner Hudson added an additional touchdown. For the Packers, it's actually kind of surprising. Josh Jacobs was tied for the most receptions on the team. 5 targets, 5 receptions, 57 yards. He had a pretty good day, just across the board, even as a receiver. It was really solid. That nice play by Jordan where he's scrambling around, dumps it off to Josh Jacobs, that was a thing of beauty. Matthew Golden had 5 targets, 3 receptions, but 86 yards. I don't know if we can officially call that a breakout game. The only reason I lean toward calling it that is because what I've been saying since before the season started is that, and I thought it would go faster. I'll own that. It's a very slow process, but I still think it's going to happen. Eventually, Jordan is going to recognize that this is a guy I can just throw it up to and he can come down with it. Eventually, he's going to recognize that this is a guy that needs to get the ball, and I'm going to start looking that direction more often. And for to what extent it's Matt LaFleur's responsibility to make him like the first read or the primary or whatever, I think that also changes. And we're going to start to see more of that. So for that reason, I would call it a breakout game, even though it's only 86 yards, there's no touchdowns, whatever, just 3 receptions. I still think it's kind of an eye-opener for the team. I'm hoping where they look at it and go, bro, this guy's different, and we got to do something about this. Tucker Kraft also, I thought, had a really solid day. Just 2 receptions, but 2 targets, 2 receptions, 43 yards, and a touchdown. Man, that touchdown where he just, I've never seen a guy dive for a touchdown and there's like a midair collision and only one guy moves. I mean, he is just rock solid. He is just a freaking tank. I love that guy. Romeo Doubs had another productive day as our number 1 receiver, most targeted by a lot. He had 9 targets, 5 receptions, 55 yards, though. Romeo playing some really good football out there. Wherever you think he is, it doesn't really matter. He's been put into that number 1 wide receiver role, and I think he's done a good job in that. He's not Devontae. He's never going to be Devontae. But when they call his number, he steps up, and I love having him. He looks like he's having fun out there. He's doing all the dance moves and everything. He's having a party, man. I think he's excited that he is the number 1 wide receiver, and he's stepping up. And Jordan loves him. Jordan always has. That was always the thing that was one of the biggest things that was going to dissuade me from Matthew Golden having a big year is Jordan wants Doubs to be that guy. He has implicit trust in Romeo Doubs, always has. If he needs a play, he wants to look for Doubs. Boom, 30-17. I love watching Dan Campbell pace around just looking like he wants to cry. Bro, it's a 2-win team, dog. You're not going to lose to a 2-win team, are you? Sucks, bro. Shouldn't talk too much. Game's not over. Dontavian Wicks kind of quiet, but he's still there, and whenever his number's called, he steps up. 2 targets, 2 receptions, 15 yards. Musgrave had a pretty weird day. There was the one terrible throw from Jordan, which every time you see a terrible throw and then you see it's a guy like Musgrave, I like Musgrave, but it's one of those where if it was Tucker or Romeo or something, you would feel a little bit more comfortable just calling it a bad throw. When it's Musgrave, you're like, man, I bet that was Musgrave that messed that up. I bet it was. But he did have one nice reception for 7 yards. That was a pretty clutch pickup. I believe that was a first down conversion. Emmanuel Wilson had a pretty rough day across the board. The running was not really going for him, and then he just had the 1 target, 1 reception for -4 yards. Defensively, and everybody's going to be really angry about the pass rush. I'll be interested to see what the numbers are, not that it super matters, and I absolutely am going to go rewatch this game. I kind of want to do like a full watch through, possibly. Maybe we'll make that a podcast in a couple days, just because, I don't know. I want to see these things through a little bit better. I want to time some of these things out because I know, there are times when, that dude was super offsides. There's a free play for you. But again, everyone's ragging on the pass rush. I mean, there's 2 major factors here. Number 1, the ball is coming out in a second. I think it was Warren Brinson. He had a free shot at the quarterback, and he's a defensive tackle. I know that doesn't make him super fast, but it means he's basically breathing in his face to start. He was unblocked and couldn't get to the quarterback before the ball was out. This is how quickly the ball keeps getting out. There was a second play, I think it was in Igbare, essentially unblocked. Just came clean at the quarterback within a second. Oh, there's a sack. You got to get him down. I mean, these guys are not getting a fair shake. And every time I look, I swear, I don't know if it's just a weird, I don't know how they have, what do they have, 7 offensive linemen or what? It doesn't matter who I looked at, they're getting double teamed. Maybe they're just doubling both ends and just saying, screw it, the DTs can't do anything. Because every time I look at Rashawn, he's getting double teamed. Every time I look at Micah, he's getting double teamed. So I don't know how they're doing that. The other thing, obviously, and yes, I'm going to be that dude about it, the holding is absolutely out of control. It is, I am... I mean, here's the thing. As Packer fans, I'm guessing I'm not alone in this. That's game. That's game, folks. Dude, Detroit, you suck, bro. You couldn't even get 17 points. Oh, well, they had all their corners out. I don't care about how many points your defense gave up. Why does your offense suck, bro? Who scores 17 points? What are you, stupid? What are you playing, the Browns all of a sudden? It's the Chiefs, dude. You guys suck. Anyways, I'm guessing most Packer fans are like me, and when the defense is on the field, your eyes lock on Micah Parsons most of the time. So it's not exactly a hallucination for all of us to say the guy's getting held on like every play, because he's the guy we're watching almost all the time. Again, occasionally I'll check out Rashawn, because in my mind I'm thinking, well, hopefully he's got a one-on-one, maybe he can win, and he ends up getting doubled. And then I try to look back and find Micah, and he's usually being held or something, but if I can find him, because the ball comes out immediately. I made this comment on Packernet After Dark, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I know as a coach you're not supposed to talk bad about the officials and all that kind of stuff. I think it might be worth it. And again, it's not my pocketbook. If we're talking about a fine, I can't really speak to him giving up money that belongs to his family for this. But I think some kind of a public statement needs to be made. Even if it's just some kind of like Aaron Rodgers in passing, like smarmy little... like, you kind of said it, but you kind of didn't. He was a master at that. Make some kind of a comment in regard to, look, I don't think our pass rushers are being given a chance, and I'm going to be talking to some people about that. You know what I mean? And the media's like, well, what do you mean? You talking about like the officials? Or you talking about the whole, like, I'm not saying anything. I'm just telling you that there are some issues that need to be fixed, and I'm going to raise holy hell to see that they get addressed. In fact, not just me, but Brian Gutekunst and Ed Policy are going to have some meetings this week to try to discuss a few issues that we're noticing in the games. So you don't have to directly say anything. But listen, you have to stick up for your guys, man. This is just one of those situations in my mind where you got to stand up for your guys. You got pass rushers that are probably getting pissed. They're first of all getting pissed at your corners for not being able to cover, but then whenever they get a chance, they're being held. And I don't think as a coach you should just sit there and say, well, that's part of the game, and we'll see what happens. Sometimes everybody bullcrap, dude. Stick up for your boys, and maybe they are. Maybe there's fiery emails and stuff going off to the league office. I don't know. But again, I think there needs to be a public show at some point. I don't care if you got to run out on the field during the game and scream at the ref who's standing behind the quarterback and get in his face and grab Micah by his jersey and start yanking on it to show this is what they're doing to my guy every play. I mean, if not a fine, get a penalty for it. I need to see blood squirting out of your eyes. You're screaming at these refs so much. Matt LaFleur is not opposed to throwing a hissy fit on the sideline. I want to see him screaming about the holding that's taking place on every play. All these guys need to be making a show of it. I know it might seem kind of weak and complaining. I don't care. Bro, you got to be getting in the ref's face come on, man. This guy's holding. Ooh, it's a fight. Yeah, get him. Get him. Freaking Pat Mahomes ran over there and dove in. Ooh, I see punches. Somebody's getting suspended. Suspend him. Can't play next week. Haha. Freaking whiny Lions, dude. They're a bunch of crybabies. They lose a game, get into a fist fight. It's Brian Branch. Dude, what a punk. Branch refuses to shake Mahomes' hand. Juju or somebody came to give him a high five, and Branch hit the guy in the face. That idiot needs to be suspended. Anyways, so the pass rush numbers are not where they need to be because of a lot of other issues. Anyways, let's get to some of the stats here. Edgerrin Cooper did lead the team in tackles with 11. The next highest was 7, which was Evan Williams, so kind of by a lot. Lucas Van Ness with the 1 sack. The additional tackles for a loss coming from Keyshawn Nixon, Javon Bullard, Edgerrin Cooper, and Evan Williams, each with 1 each. Pass deflections, 2 from Keyshawn, and Carrington Valentine had 1. Keyshawn is, again, it's a little bit up and down with him for me. Sometimes, he's a stud, or sometimes I get mad at him for not playing well, and then he comes out and makes these heroic plays, and I'm like, oh, my bad, dude, I shouldn't have been talking trash. It's kind of up and down, but the amount of pass deflections a guy has been getting on a week-to-week basis is pretty impressive. He's making some pretty solid plays. Kick return, I thought, went very well today. Had Mr. Negative complaining, of all things, about field position. I thought field position was actually quite good today. Savion Williams had 3 returns for 96 yards, 32 average, which is quite good. I looked at it. 32 as an average would be the second best in the NFL right now. Bo Melton had 1 return for 36 yards, so all the returning was fantastic. I really like Savion as a return guy. If you want to go the Bo route, I guess you can go the Bo route. That seemed to work at least that one time. Romeo Doubs had 2 punt returns. I don't know why that became a thing, but he had 2 punt returns for 14 yards, 7-yard average. Whatever. Daniel Whalen, 2 punts, 91 yards, 45 average, 1 punt inside the 20. He had one that was a beautiful punt, pinned him like inside the 5 or something. It was fantastic. Longest was 56 yards. And then the freaking man of the day here, Lucas Havrasik, the kicker we picked up last minute. Dude's looking for a job at Home Depot or something. Gets a call to come kick for us. He goes 2 for 2 on his field goals, 3 for 3 on the extra points. Just comes in, just freaking kills it. Team stats, Packers actually not dominated, but 1 time of possession, which I'm actually surprised by, considering, man, those Bengals drives were just brutal. Guess the Packers did a good job of returning that. But 32 minutes to 27, kind of 33, 27-ish. Plays, they had 62 to our 60. We had 409 yards to their 268. 6.8 yards per play to their 4.3. We had 5 penalties to their 3, which is, again, we got to acknowledge some of the things that are better. It's not to say that everything's going to be better all the time, but that's a massive improvement to just have 5 penalties. The penalties were not really a massive problem in this game. That's a good thing. You should be happy about that. Completion percentage, 73% for Jordan Love. I'm continually blown away that he is seemingly one of the more accurate quarterbacks now, when that was, again, never really a strong point for him. Good quarterback, but somewhat inaccurate. Inconsistent, maybe, is a better way to put it, whatever. He's been lights out since the beginning of the season. 73% is fantastic. 64% for the Bengals. 256 passing yards to 213. 9.8 per attempt to 4.7. 13.5 yards per completion compared to 7.3. Sack percentages, Jordan was sacked 3.7%, Flacco 2.2%. Team rushing yards, Packers 153, Cincinnati 55. Again, for all the negatives, holding a team to 55 rushing yards, that's a really good thing. It just is. Their team yards per carry was just 3.4, ours was 4.6. We had 24 first downs to their 20. Third down conversion rate, we were 46%, 5 of 11. They were 40%, 6 of 15. Fourth downs, both teams were 100%. 1 for 1 for the Packers, 2 for 2 for them. Red zone, we were 3 for 4, 75%. They were 2 for 2, 100%. That is about it. Let's see if they got their recap up here. Been pretty bad at that lately. I don't know what the deal is. Here we go. Let's see what else they've got for us here. EPA per rush, the Packers 0.15, the Bengals 0.04. Average yards before contact, the Packers are actually better, which is shocking. 1 yard before contact for the Packers, the Bengals 0.7. Yards after contact, the Packers 3.2, the Bengals 2.8, so they won on both accounts. Explosive runs are 10 plus or more, Packers 4, Bengals 1. Yards coming off explosive runs, the Bengals 13, the Packers 52. Missed tackles forced, Bengals 2, Packers 6. Looking at some of the passing stats, the Bengals 0.03, 46th percentile. Packers 0.24, 73rd percentile. Adjusted completion rate, the Bengals are actually quite high. Flacco having quite a good day. Josevich had the 3 drops at least, but he jumps up to 82%. Jordan Love is at 75%. Not much higher, but still. All that means is Jordan had a good day and our guys didn't drop anything. In fact, there you go. Drop passes, Bengals 3, Packers 0, which, by the way, coming into this game, I think the Packers led the league in the least amount of drops, and they had 0 this week. Again, not everything is perfect, and things are not great, or I shouldn't even say things are not great. Things are not where they need to be. They have to grow. They have to improve. That is true. But some things have grown and improved, and I'm not hearing nearly as much praise for those things as I'm hearing about whining about the things that haven't improved. Everybody pissed and moaned and whined all of last year and all of offseason how terrible the receivers are in their drops. They are maybe the best team in football right now with drops. Not a single word of praise from anybody about how great the Packers have been. What a great job. You guys did a great job. Round of applause. Nothing. Not a freaking thing. Too busy complaining. Tell you what, let's take a break. If there's a couple more notes, we'll do that, and then we'll do our game balls, and we'll get out of here. Take a break. We'll be right back. Let's see. Here we go. So we went over missed tackles forced already. That was just rushing plays. The other thing the Packers have done really well this year is what they've done after the catch. Missed tackles forced in the receiving game. Bengals, 2 missed tackles forced. Packers, 10. I think 7 of them were Matthew Golden. Packers had 130 yards after the catch. Average yards after the catch per completion, Packers 6.2. That's a big deal, man. 6.2 extra yards every completion. That's a massive deal. Explosive passes that are 15 or more yards. Bengals 4, Packers 8. Yards on explosive passes. Bengals 72, Packers 194. Deep completions, Bengals 0. And again, this is a positive. The Packers need to figure out how to stop these short little dink and dunks bleeding them all the way down the field. They have to figure that out. But teams are not completing deep passes on them. They're not. It's how I knew we had that game locked up at the end. You got to score twice with a minute something left. You're going to have to push the ball down the field, and they can't do it. Game was over. Yards on deep passes, Bengals 0, Packers 111. Pressures allowed, Bengals and Packers both 17 pressures. Just that one sack. 16 additional pressures that meant nothing because the frickin' just can't cover, man. Joe Flacco's average time to throw was 2.35 seconds. 2.35 seconds. That's crazy. Jordan was 3.02. A lot of scrambling will do that. Some initial PFF grades. These are subject to change. Last time we did this, some of the guys' grades went down. But if I'm not mistaken, this is... And it's not going to let me freaking swipe here because it's stupid. It's made for like a phone to actually physically swipe, and I'm on my computer. So I can't swipe. And even the button that says swipe doesn't work. Can I click and drag? Oh, I can. Well, that's just going to go really fast. Let's see if I can go slowly. Anywho, I think this is for everybody and not just the Packers. The number 1 highest graded player, according to PFF, prior to the official grades, is Matthew Golden with a 91 PFF grade. Breakout game, perhaps? Perhaps. Number 2 highest graded offensive player, Josh Jacobs with an 82.3. Number 3 highest graded offensive player is Flacco with a 79.7. Go figure, Flacco with an 80 PFF grade. Oh, but they have such a bad quarterback. It's just not Burrow. Freaking stupid people. Sorry. Number 4 highest graded offensive player, Orlando Brown, 75. Number 5 highest graded offensive player, Jordan Love, 75. On the defensive side, highest graded defensive player is cornerback DJ Turner with a 92. Trey Hendrickson, 84. Micah Parsons, 81. Geno Stone, 78. And then Colby Wooden with a 73. So once again, I look forward to everybody whining about how much of a non-factor Micah Parsons is as he continues to be one of the highest graded players every single freaking week. Because it's like I feel like nobody else is watching the games. Why can't we get any pressure? Are you not seeing our guys beat their tackles but not getting to the quarterback in time because the ball comes out too quickly? Are you not seeing that, or can you not comprehend how that could possibly impede our ability to get a pressure or a sack? Well, I don't care. It's just not acceptable. I'm going to punch you in the kneecap as hard as I freaking can. Right in the kneecap until you get smarter. Okay? I will punch you repeatedly in your kneecap until you get smarter. Oh. Freaking rage. Rage. All right, let's do our players of the game. We'll do some of the other stuff tomorrow and whatnot. All right, let's pull up the old Packers depth chart. Going to give out a bunch of game balls. You know why? Because we won, and I'm happy about that. We're all happy. Remember when we're happy because we won? Remember that? That was great. No particular order, just going top to bottom on the old R-Lads here. First game ball, Romeo Doubs. Why? Number 1 wide receiver, plays like it, dude's a stud. His helmet looks stupid, but it makes it funnier when he dances. Also probably easier to find him on the field. Kudos and game ball to Romeo Doubs. Second game ball, Savion Williams. Why? Because he's a good kick returner, and I actually get excited when he returns kicks, and that doesn't happen very often, and he consistently impresses me, and I'm happy about it. Plus, I like him, and so he gets a game ball. He's got red hair, and that's kind of cool, too. Next game ball, Matthew Golden, because he's a stud, and I'm sad that nobody has discovered that on this team yet, but I'm excited they figured it out this week, and I am hopeful that they will continue knowing that for all of eternity, that you don't just have to give him end arounds and wide receiver screens, that you can actually throw it to him down the field, and good things will happen. Matthew Golden is a stud. He's a freak. Game ball. Next game ball, Tucker Kraft, because he smacked that guy's head and splattered all over the field, and it was funny. Next game ball, Jordan Love. Jordan Love continues to play at a top 10 to top 5 quarterback caliber. He continues to be a player that shows up and is playing like a guy that can put the team on his shoulders, which, again, I don't know that I could have said that last year. I think he's been a guy that can play within structure very well, but I've always questioned his ability to play when things break down. Yes, he had that one bad play when things went south. He still has that hero ball in him, but that doesn't necessarily make you a bad quarterback. Making a couple plays here and there isn't what the problem is. As I've always said, it's consistency that's the most important thing. You can have all the highlight reels in the world, but if you can't consistently play in other words, positive plays, whether they're massively positive or just barely positive, consistent positive plays are what's most important. Jordan is consistently positive even when nobody else is helping him. Even when the offensive line can't block, even when his receivers can't get open, even when there's no run game, even when Matt LaFleur is not doing his best, Jordan is finding ways to keep us in this game. And if it's hard to get down the field, and it is a grind to get down the field, he grinds down the field. And as I've said before, that was always a Rodgers quality. We always knew Rodgers was a guy that put the team on his back. His guys weren't open. The plays were difficult. The throws were difficult. Everything was hard. He never had a run game. I mean, he had Eddie Lacy for a couple years, but, and Aaron Jones at the end was a good runner, but that guy never had a run game for almost his entire first decade of his career. Jordan is... He's just playing phenomenal football. He is insanely accurate. He's making good reads, good throws, with great footwork. Everything is just going very, very well. Period. It's not even worth mentioning, but there was those couple. Gives a crap, dude. There is no bar being set of never makes mistakes. That's not a checkbox for any player on a football field. Game ball. Next game ball, Josh Jacobs. Nothing really special, but 2 touchdowns, and he started to make a little space, and he was looking pretty shifty, and he helped in the pass game. He's deserving of a game ball. Next game ball goes to Devontae Wyatt. He didn't play, but I think we can see how much we miss him, and I love him, and I miss him, and I want him to have a game ball because I want him to know that he's loved. I miss you, dog. Next game ball. Micah Parsons. PFF said you were good, and I believe them. And you're held every play, and you don't strangle the referee to death, and for that you deserve praise. Next game ball, Lucas Van Ness got a sack. Good boy. Next game ball, Daniel Whalen, just consistently awesome. As much as the poor guy is a special teamer who has to hear nothing about how much we hate the special teams and everything about it, not realizing we love him. I hope you know, Daniel, we like you, dog. A lot. We don't want you to go anywhere. When we say we hate the special teams, we're never talking about you. We've never said that or meant that to be directed anywhere in and around your vicinity. Okay? Even though you represent a massive portion of what our special teams is, somehow surprisingly we don't need... Even more ironic, we don't mean the kicker either. So 95% of what makes up our special teams, we don't mean that. We mean all the other guys who go running around committing penalties every freaking time that we get kicked to. That's more what we're talking about. And Musgrave can't block. That also sucks. Daniel Whalen, good job. Game ball. And finally, the double, triple game ball goes to Lucas Havrasik. My expectations have never been lower. In a game where we needed a kicker to actually step up and make the kicks, or else we might have been in a bit of trouble. Dude stepped up and drilled every single kick. It was not a problem. Didn't seem like... I mean, I don't know why this guy doesn't have a job. As many kickers as are out there that are not good at kicking. It's a bit surprising. But yes, double, triple game ball for Lucas Havrasik. I want McManus back. Let's not make a mistake with that one. But you're awesome, and if we had an extra spot for an extra kicker, I would love to have you sit in that spot and collect a paycheck to just sit there because I appreciate you. And I hope that you made a lot of money in this game, to be honest. I hope you got a solid 2 years' worth of pay to come in for one game and kick some field goals. And also you get my double, triple game ball, which is obviously worth as much, if not more, than your paycheck. Anyways, folks, little sassy today. Little sassy. Shout out to the Packernet After Dark crowd. They were all kind of in the same mode as me. You know, there's problems. You know, stuff we got to work on. Certainly not where we need to be. Game could have been better, no question. If the team was where it was supposed to be, you know, like playoff caliber, we would have done better than that. No doubt. Especially if it was against the other quarterback, who we didn't get to see, unfortunately. Need the defense to stop the short passes. Would really like the offensive line to continue to do a little bit better. Still have some questions about if Hafley's getting guys open. It's kind of hard to tell because Jordan seems to be under pressure pretty early. There's stuff to be fixed. The freaking special teams penalties. I'm going to kick somebody in the back of the kneecap. A lot of kneecapping today, but it has to happen. There's really no way around that. But we won the game, and by double digits. And the Lions lost. And the Bears are going up against Washington today, whatever. And the Eagles lost again this week. And the Rams look like crap. And Dallas lost. And Arizona lost. And San Francisco lost. Detroit got pummeled. I mean, it's a good week. It's a pretty good week. I think there are some reasons to be excited. But again, we all have different beliefs. And if your value system requires you to be sad in this moment, then I will respect you and your beliefs. Okay? All right. You all have a good rest of your day. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Another W in the book, but you sit behind your keyboard with that disappointed look. Jordan Love 19 of 26 to 59 and climbing high, 10 yards per attempt, but still you question why. Why Josh Jacob 93 yards, 5.2 per carry, 2 touchdowns in the end zone. Tell me what's so scary.
For what it was,
differential, simple math you fail to see. Lions beat them by 13. We won by 9 tonight. You act like 4 points difference means we didn't fight. Run defense, 55 yards, 3.4 per rush. Tucker Craft with 43. That jack will make you hush. Matthew Golden, 86 on just 3 receptions made. Savion Williams, 32. Watch the field position played. Context matters. Read the room. We're improving. Stop the doom. Two things can be true at once. We won and we're not done. Stop crying about the spread. We beat who we played. They did 6.8 yards per play. They got 4.3 today. Sled break before you grieve. This is what you should believe. Lucas Alvarez, perfect on emergency call-up night. Daniel Willen pinning deep, controlling field position right. Romeo Dobbs reliable, the we're our one we need. Micah and Elvin brought pressure, even with their speed, yeah. 46% on third, we move the chains with power. Hey, Scott that's what elites do every single hour.